And just since we're on the topic of migraines, we're going to jump into some celebrities that have spoken out about their symptoms, and we'll talk about those symptoms and the thought patterns that go behind it. And hopefully, it'll give them some help or maybe some insight for everyone that may be going through any of that. So, someone that, you know, is in the media that promotes migraine medication and talks about migraines quite often is Khloe Kardashian. Yeah, she's been in a few commercials. She's also gotten a lot of shit for it, but we're not here to give you shit. We're here to show the other side and things you can change and the thought pattern. So, like we said before, migraines, according to Louise Hay, represent thought patterns and deep rooted feelings of dislike of being driven and resisting this flow of life. It can also be sexual fear. So remember me saying like this feeling of like, I don't know who you want me to be, which kind of makes sense, I think, for somebody in such the public eye and who's scrutinized and critiqued to the T, and she's been that way for critique for I don't know 20 years now. It I couldn't even imagine what she deals with on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, day of being literally driven and being told to be a certain way, look a certain way, do something, not doing something. Like I can totally see where these feelings can be so deep rooted that they're causing these symptoms.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also known, I mean, whether they're in the public eye or not, they put themselves there, whoever, they're celebrities, they're still people, just like me and you.
They're human, just like us. They're dealing with symptoms and pain, and
Yeah.
now they have billions of people watching them and scrutinizing them to the T, like the
Adding, adding to their judgment.
adding.
Yeah.
But and the things they get scrutinized for is insane, like their toes, their nails, their hair, their eyelid, like it's to the T. And like we have to remember that they're people.
Right. Right. At the day. And it's also interesting because I know she's publicly spoken about anxiety and things like that as well. And just to give you, so the same for migraines, anxiety is not trusting the flow and the process of life. And it correlates with the migraines. So it's like, some things are separate entities, and one has nothing to do with the other. And sometimes, if you look at your symptoms and you go through the thought processes and the belief systems, you can see a pattern and really kind of just get down to like the nitty gritty and be like, all right, well, this is clearly what I'm thinking over and over. But let me just give you the affirmation too for anxiety since we've brought it up. It's I love and approve of myself and trust the process of life. I am safe. And
we,
again, for the
we
migraine, it is very similar.
we love and approve of Khloe. And it actually, I mean, I only know her life the same way everyone else does from the public eye. But we do know she's publicly gone through some awful relationships. Her first husband being found in a brothel, and now there's been a recent issue with her fiance that cheated on her with her friends, with her sister's friend, and now again getting somebody else pregnant. So it makes sense that she's not trusting the flow of life. It's almost like she doesn't know who to be so that she can have this life that she's yearning for so bad, which comes back to your crown chakra, because both migraines and anxiety do often live in the crown chakra. And that's that belief, that connection to something higher, and allowing yourself to relax and flow and trusting that life is for you and that God is watching out for your best and higher, as opposed to feeling like either you have to drive the bus or somebody else is driving you to it.
Mm,
um,
absolutely.
well, we hope this finds you, Khloe.
Hope
And
it
we
finds
send you
us.
healing because you deserve it. You deserve true healing. Everyone does. Um, you have any other questions about that before we move on to our next one?
No, I think that one pretty much full circled it, and I think honestly that's probably going to be like one of our main helps I feel for people because I mean migraines and anxiety seem to be just so prevalent in the world today. I mean, like who doesn't get headaches and migraines and all that other stuff? And sometimes when you think, oh, it's tension and stress, and I had a bad day or whatever the case is, it's like it is, but it can also
Yes.
be much deeper than that. And hopefully, as you
But
see,
this,
correlate, you can maybe wean it out of your day-to-day conversation with yourself.
absolutely. And the stress and the tension from the day that you are um, giving the attribute of this headache is also a disconnect from source, from something higher, because you're letting the stress of life problems disconnect you from something higher, from your higher purpose, from your higher understanding, which is all from your crown chakra. And staying on the crown chakra, we're going to go into hair loss, you know, premature balding, maybe alopecia, um, like Jada Pinkett Smith. But we are going to keep her MF name out of our mouth.
Oh, she
Because
will
I don't
know
want to
how
get slapped in the face.
right now.
I don't
No,
want to get virtually slapped either.
no, that's cool. But if it is, Will Smith's hand, then I may not never wash this cheek again. No.
No, this
Uh,
is all out of pure love. And this is,
yeah.
working on the thought patterns, the Eastern medicine that has worked for so many and continues to work. And we're just trying to share. And hair loss is something that a lot of people are going through. Male pattern baldness, early onset baldness for women losing hair. Um, so, Tara, do you mind telling us what the mental thought pattern behind hair loss or baldness might be?
So that is fear, tension, trying to control everything, not trusting the process of life.
So if you can imagine like the top of the head, the crown, like fear, tension, it's literally like closing up at the top of your head. So much fear, you're closing it up. You're so tight that you're not letting the light from above literally come through you. Remember the baby's head opening, maybe your pores, you're not letting it in. Everything's closing up. Um, so it's that trusting, that connecting to that higher source, that crown. And what's an affirmation that our listeners can do if they're dealing with symptoms of hair loss?
I am safe. I love and approve of myself. I trust life.
So it's knowing that you are safe, that's safety, because when you truly believe in something higher and know that there's a higher purpose connecting you to something higher, you're safe. There's something in your three-dimensional world, in your environment, that's making you feel unsafe. So when you're connecting to something higher, you know that wherever you are physically is temporary, and that in the grand scheme of the universe, something's watching over you and you are safe. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
These are getting good. These are
Yeah,
getting juicy.
do it. All right. We are, I don't know.
Pick a name out of a basket. Do it.
Here we go. We're going to do,
Do it. Do it.
I say, let's do lupus.
Ooh, lupus. That
Yeah.
has been quite prevalent, especially in our pop culture.
Yeah.
So many celebrities, just to throw a few out. We have Nick Cannon, who's been publicly diagnosed with lupus and talked about his struggles with lupus. We have Miss Selena Gomez, who's been dealing with it as well as Toni Braxton, who's come out and spoken about it. Toni Braxton actually has lupus of the heart. And she was actually, it was, I believe, according to her, that her lupus was so bad, she was supposedly supposed to get a heart transplant.
Oof.
So lupus is one of the autoimmune diseases that fall under the category of, well, obviously autoimmune, but it falls under the category of other diseases such as lupus, Lyme, MS, chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome. Um, all of these autoimmune disorders where the body is literally fighting itself from the inside. It's not an external factor, it is coming from within, where the body's not recognizing good cells versus bad cells, and it is attacking itself. So do you want to tell us the not the affirmation, the mental thought pattern according to Miss Louise Hay for lupus?
Absolutely. Okay. And then we can get a little bit more specific.
Yes.
So,
Because Nick Cannon and Selena Gomez do not have lupus of the heart. They actually have lupus of the kidneys. And Selena Gomez actually had a kidney transplant. I don't know if you know this from her friend who gave her one kidney, who she claims saved her life. So, which is amazing. How beautiful is that? So it's not only, so there's two thought patterns going on here at once. There's the lupus thought pattern, as well as where the lupus is attacking. So it's that thought pattern plus the area it is attacking. So first give us the lupus, because that's what all three of these celebs are dealing with.
okay. So for lupus, it's a giving up. Better to die than stand up for oneself. Anger and punishment. It's pretty intense.
That is an intense feeling. That is a very, I would say, dark feeling. It's almost a giving up, I would say. You can imagine that they have subconscious underlying feelings of just giving up on life, and there's no meaning anymore, and a lot of anger and maybe punishing of the self. They blame themselves for a lot. And that is a similar thought pattern to the other autoimmune diseases such as Lyme disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, MS as well, falling into this. It is this feeling of just not loving yourself to the point where your cells don't love themselves and they are attacking themselves because there's no purpose to live anymore. You are angry at yourself. You are punishing yourself. Therefore, your cells are punishing themselves and hurting themselves, and they feel that there's no need to live anymore. I mean, we don't know too much about these celebrities' lives.
Other than what you see in the public.
Other than what you see in the public. So what they're feeling is obviously very deep rooted. It is very difficult. I know that Toni Braxton has mentioned feeling a lot of guilt in previous interviews about being famous over her sisters, that they were supposed to all be together in a group, and that she felt a lot of guilt for making it so big, and that she felt like she had to like carry the family, and that she felt guilty for being the famous one. So I don't know if that's part of it, that guilt feeling, that pressure of it. I know Selena Gomez spoke about her dark time a little bit after after the whole Justin Bieber in between where they were on and off, and her deep depression, and her song Love You to Lose Me and The Heart Wants What It Wants. I mean, her music speaks for herself. She's obviously went through her dark night of the soul where she felt like life was probably not worth living, and this anger and punishment and guilt and pressure that she put on herself. Nick Cannon as well.
Going through just on a human experience, there's a multitude of people who've had, I'm sure, whether they be fleeting thoughts or not, very similar experiences. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all gone through breakups, and we've all gone through these moments in our lives where just like, I give up. Like, I don't want to be here, or not that I don't want to be there, or this person doesn't want me so much that I don't want myself. Like, that's like
what's the point?
Right, exactly. So it gets, and then of course there's anger and punishment that you're gonna do. I mean, like, that's kind of almost self-serving sometimes. So it's very easy to just relate to what it is they're going through, but now they're doing it on a whole larger scale where they have an audience to watch them go through all of these things. So it's like times 10 for them. Sometimes it's magnified for them. So
Yes.
on an exaggerated level, I guess you can see how this can definitely be, prevalent for them, but it's really not. If they weren't under a microscope, they'd still be having these feelings the same way.
Exactly. They'd still be having these symptoms. Yep. It's just magnified because now they have to do it in front of the public eye, and now they get scrutinized to the T about it. And you could also see that the symptoms themselves are very similar. So, like body aches, pain, severe fatigue, nausea, tiredness, um, weakness, arthritis, pain in the fingers, pain in the legs, that the symptoms are similar throughout all of this. And pain um, is almost yourself beating yourself up from the inside. That is your self punishment. You're giving yourself the pain, the quote unquote spanking from the inside mentally because of the burdens that you aren't willing to look through and dig through and realize that life is so much bigger than this darkness that's almost like learn to live within you. It's almost like made a road and learn to live there. And an affirmation that Louise Hay says to help with lupus, if you want to say that one.
I speak up for myself freely and easily. I claim my own power. I love and approve of myself. I am free and safe.
I love and approve of myself. I am free and safe. So it's like loving, teaching your cells to love themselves again so they do not attack themselves. They do not attack your organs. They do not attack your body. They do not attack your nervous system. They love you, so they radiate love. And they can attack in different areas depending on where the thought patterns go. So if you're having these, so the person with lupus that is having these better to give up, better to just die than stand up for myself, anger feelings can go even deeper depending where the lupus presents itself. So for example, Selena Gomez and Nick Cannon have lupus of the kidneys, nephritis, in medical terms. So the kidneys represent
Criticism, disappointment, failure, shame, reacting like a little kid.
and you can imagine that Nick Cannon and Selena Gomez, this, criticism. I mean, they both started very, very young. They were, Nick Cannon was on All That.
Yeah.
Selena Gomez was on the Disney Channel. They started super young in this industry. So this feeling of criticism constantly has been part of their life since they can probably remember. So
Mhm.
it's almost part, like, I don't know, explain, this thought pattern almost just lives in them because it's brewed in them from their life experience. And a affirmation they can use on top of the lupus affirmation or in conjunction would be,
Divine right action is always taking place in my life. Only good comes from each experience. It is safe to grow up.
it is safe to grow up. So those child fears of whatever happened, those traumas in the childhood, it is safe to stand up for that inner child and that you're safe now. um, and then we have Tony Braxton, who has reportedly lupus of the heart, which is quite scary, to be honest. And the heart represents obviously your heart chakra,
Love and security.
love and security.
Hmm.
It's what, like, we don't function without a heart. Our heart pumps blood for us. It is the source of life. The heart represents this love and security, and whatever she was going through in her life in conjunction with life is not worth living or not good enough or feeling of giving up probably correlates in some way with her feelings of love and security, not feeling love and security in her life. That's leading her to these feelings of wanting to give up and not worth it. And an affirmation for the heart, if you can please tell us.
Um, so I'm going to give you another mindset as well, because there's a lot actually to do with the heart. So I think this also goes back to what you were saying before too: long-standing emotional problems, lack of joy, a hardening of the heart, a belief in strain and stress. Um, so based on just a little bit of information that you had given before, whether it be a little bit of a reason as to why the lupus of the heart happened to grow, with her sisters and all that stuff, and also being in the public eye and
And
all
her
that.
divorce.
Right, right, exactly. A hardening of the heart. So for the first, the representation of center of love and security, um, my heart beats to the rhythm of love.
What a
And
beautiful affirmation. My heart
right.
beats to the rhythm of love.
And then for the hardening of the heart, both falling hand in hand would be joy, joy, joy. I lovingly allow joy to flow through my mind and body and experience. And then, so that's why I feel like for the lupus too, because it's not stuck at the heart, it's not flowing through every aspect of the body, which is where this is all starting to
Yes,
now affect not just her heart, but her whole system. So
exactly.
that's why being able to really take a hard look and going in deeper, other than just what the surface is telling you, really is important. And I know we've said this before with Louise Hay, but she does describe a dis-ease or pain in the body as um, the body trying to explain to you what exactly is wrong and where it's going wrong. So if the deeper you can go in on this, you're gonna really get the substance and foundation of your healing. So
So we send so much joy, joy, joy to Miss Tony Braxton
so
and
much love.
so much love, and know that you are safe and that you are worthy of joy and that you deserve all that life has to offer.
and
Um,
and to all of those out there, lupus, you are safe. You're
you
safe.
are safe. This gets a little deep because you start thinking about everyone's lives and just shows you everyone is going through something.
Yes.
Um, if you want to get into the next one, we can go into Miss Kim Kardashian.
Yes, we can move it on there.
Um, and she, I believe, 10 or 15 years ago, reported that she had psoriasis, um, where it would start at her legs and work its way up and then onto her face. And I don't know if you know, psoriasis looks like patches on the body, like little patches of skin burns, little weird bumps on the body that are not very pleasant looking. And as they heal, they start to get flaky and yucky, and you just look crusty. It's not the prettiest disease. And that was a whole big thing where she was on a lot of commercials for psoriasis medication. Um, and we'll go into psoriasis and what that means. So, according to Louise Hay, Miss Vibe, what is psoriasis stand for as our mental pattern?
I lost my page. Psoriasis. I'm sorry, 1 second.
58.
Yeah, my little number, my page stopper was gone. Okay. So psoriasis is fear of being hurt, deadening the senses of the self, refusing to accept responsibility for our own feelings.
Oh, that's
That
tough.
says a lot.
That's a lot. Can you say that one more time? That was a lot to
Sure.
digest.
Fear of being hurt, deadening the senses of the self, refusing to accept responsibility for your own feelings.
So we know that, the diagnosis of psoriasis came when their fame started peaking,
Hmm.
about 10, 15 years ago, just as they were becoming what we know now as the Kardashians. So these feelings that she was probably having at the time that probably started off as little feelings, like little drops here and there as they were happening. And eventually those drops of thought patterns and being criticized became a little puddle. And as the thoughts got bigger and she got bigger and more famous, the thoughts probably grew into a little lake. And then they grew a little more into a little, swimming pool. And then they grew into a whole ocean and it probably overflooded her. Um, and that was these fears of being hurt, whether it was hurt by people in her life who were possibly using her for her fame or true friends as she was coming up, fear of being hurt in relationships, um, whether it was during getting divorced or whatever it was. She's been through a lot. Um, and it's almost as it says, dead, like just like the skin I said gets, when it's healing, it gets dead and crusty. It's deadening the senses of the self. So it's almost losing pieces of your true self because you're trying to, on the surface, become something else. It's almost like a snake shedding its skin because you want to so badly become something else and be accepted by something that your skin doesn't know who to be. Which is something she might have been facing as she was trying, as she was becoming more famous, as the people she was surrounding herself with were starting to change. And it might have been like, you know, higher political circles or whatever it was that she was going into, where she almost felt like she had to change as a person and she wasn't comfortable in her own feelings and ability to accept responsibility for our own feelings. Like, I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm allowed to be this person. It's almost like, who do I have to be? Um, and the affirmation for that, to help counteract the thoughts that have become this psoriasis.
I am alive to the joys of living. I deserve and accept the very best in life. I love and approve of myself.
So, as beautiful and as rich and as loved as she is globally, there, we can tell by her physical symptoms that are manifested, that we can see and that she's expressed, is that deep down, deep rooted in her subconscious, there is some sort of difficulty with truly loving and approving yourself as you are, pure, just as you are, like nothing else needed, just you as a person. So the psoriasis shows us that deep down, as perfect as we see her, like she's so beautiful, everyone's getting surgeries to look like her, she's famous, she's a billionaire, that deep down she's having these feelings of not being loved and approving of truly herself. And everyone is a child of the earth, so everyone is perfect, and this learning to approve of yourself. And I believe in 2019, um, she started having arthritis, and then she was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. So because what it shows is that there was a progression of the psoriasis, that not only was it on the outside layer on the skin where people can see that looks quote unquote ugly or unpleasant, that's making your skin crawl. Now it's not only on the outside, it's affecting her on the inside. That river is starting to overflow and it's being merged with another thought pattern that almost nests with it, which is this arthritis. And arthritis, our vibe intuitive will tell us, what is arthritis?
Arthritis is feeling unloved, criticism, and resentment.
Wow. Feeling unloved. That's crazy. What do you think that means?
I think that manifested exactly what you said. It started small and turned into an ocean. Um,
But somebody who's loved by like the whole world. Yes, she's criticized by the whole world, but she's also loved by so many. Like the internet calls her queen, just like Queen Bee.
which is great on the surface, and that's, it's a good ego fueler, but it's not going to give you the love that you truly need, because we all know, after doing our journey and work, that that comes from inside. So it's
Yes.
really her not loving herself is what it comes down to, first and foremost. And unfortunately, the criticism that she receives on a daily basis, even though people do think she's a queen, it also kind of comes with some underhanded comment. um, she's resenting it. She's resenting herself, which is making her not feel loved. So it's a
And it's
fuel.
probably criticism of the self, the criticism, because it's the psoriasis has come from the outside layer and now is in the inside. You can imagine like the fingers hurting. It's almost like this grip on yourself where you're criticizing yourself to the T. Why is this dot here, or this birthmark, or this eyelash, or not this, or that, or that? Or you're trying to like criticize yourself to a T as opposed to loving yourself just for existing because I mean, she is one of the most beautiful women in the world prior to anything of, you know, her fame. She's always been a beautiful woman. Um, so there's obviously these underlying feelings of unloved, and criticism from the outside where she gets critiqued to the T. But as we know, everything's a mirror. Everything you experience from the outside is a mirror of what you experience from the inside. So it's fair to say that the critique she's seeing on the outside, it's probably only fueling the critique that already lives within her and is gnawing and eating at her until it grew into this psoriatic arthritis. And can you give us that affirmation for arthritis?
I am love. I now choose to love and approve of myself. I see others with love.
Wow. I am love. That she literally needs to embody love, love of her skin on the outside, love of herself on the inside, love of her life, love of her environment, love of everything. Because the criticism is almost nitpicking and taking the love away from all the beautiful things there are to love.
Hmm.
That there are to love in her life, and that there are to, I'm sure, love about her.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's
It's amazing to just see how these thought patterns, and I mean, we don't know much about them, but I hope that someday, or this book falls into their lap, or that these affirmations are able to find them and that they can help them as tools towards their healing journey and no longer have these diagnoses as part of their lives, and almost have a new tool to help heal it. I mean, they have all the money and the fame and the fortune, but that doesn't exempt you from mental patterns and how you feel deep down inside. And that there's tools that you can't pay someone to do, that this is your own journey within yourself that you came here and incarnated to fix. And how you fix these mental patterns is only within yourself. There's no one else that can do it for you. So hopefully these affirmations um, can find a way to help others heal.
absolutely, absolutely. Sensing a pattern here of approval, love, and safety, acceptance. It's uh, it's very interesting. And like you said, you these are the people who are, you know, on the news every day, and you just there's always stories about them, they're always there, and you're like, oh, they have the greatest life, and what could they possibly have that's going on and wrong, and you just as you're realizing this, you're like, oh wow, I can use that affirmation for myself too. So
Yes. Or you
it's
think like, oh, they have a private jet or they have a TV show
mhm,
and their life must be perfect and they have all this money, but you don't see, all we have is their symptoms. You don't see what they're feeling inside, what they're dealing with, what their actual day-to-day life is. And it makes you grateful for the small things in your day. Like that you don't have to deal with this criticism, that yes, we have this critique within us, but thankfully it's not to the scale that they do. And thankfully that we have the tools and that we're learning how to use the tools to heal, and spread this awareness that the healing is within you and that you can heal yourself.
all starts inside.
It all starts within you, and just rewiring the mental patterns, those neurons in your brain, those synaptic connections that are connecting to each other that have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. Change those connections, rewire those connections. And it's not easy, and you can't pay an electrician to do it. You have to get in there and do the nitty gritty work. And it's, I'm sure it's not easy, especially for celebrities who have so many groupies, I don't know the better word, that are around them that just say, you're perfect at this or that. And you never get a chance to truly dig through your scars and heal and do the inner work because you're too busy to do it, and everyone's kissing your ass. And
Yeah.
but you can heal, and we're happy to help in any way. We will be doing a part 2 of this podcast, where we will be discussing um, other celebrities such as Justin Bieber, Travis Barker, Halsey, and we will be happy to take any other suggestions. Leave us a comment, send us a DM, let us know any questions, or if you're dealing with any of these symptoms, or any weird diagnosis and you want to work with us on how to get to using affirmation work to change the thought patterns, you can definitely hit us up. I am at www.theauradoctor.com. And you can reach me at the Aura Doctor on Instagram or Facebook, as well as the beautiful Tara that you can reach at the Vibe Intuitive on Instagram, as well as the Vibe Intuitive at gmail.com. And if you want to reach one of us, you can reach us both because one will get to the other. That was an awesome podcast.
I'd say so.
I think we need to close it with a little magic. Can you help us with a little tarot magic?
I
So
can actually.
as you know, we end each session with a little aura medicine, a little closure, and this time Tara's going to do a little card pulling for us. So what are you feeling today?
I am feeling the moon deck. We just had a full moon, so I'm going to ask this deck to see if there's any information they want to give us based on our conversation that we had today. And for anybody out there who may be looking for some answers.
Or if there's a message for any of these people that we spoke about today, maybe there's a message for those.
So Spirit, I ask you, what can you give us based on today's conversation?
Knowing that the people that hear this conversation are meant to hear this message.
Absolutely. What's fun about these cards is some of them have rituals and things to do other than messages. Oh, one just popped out. Okay. Thank you, Spirit.
One is good. Thank you.
So this one is, my home is a sacred space full of beauty, inspiration, and protection. So I'm going to say, based on what our conversation was today, that your home being your space that you live in is also your home. You are your dwelling.
Your physical body is your home.
Is your home. This is your first home. So you got to take care of this home. So I'll read it again in that aspect. My home is a sacred space full of beauty, inspiration, and protection. And just a really quick, home is a private sacred haven. It's a place where we can ground, love, unwind, celebrate, cry, laugh, and restore. Your home is an expression of your spirit and wants your love. When you create it with a sense of beauty, inspiration, and protection, you create a sanctuary. An altar lifts the vibration of your home and can be a place to cultivate deep presence. This is your special nook where you can meditate, pray, journal, contemplate, and create. Maintain your own version of sacredness and tend to your space. Clear and clean regularly. Offer flowers and stones throughout. Light special candles, add images, textures, and colors that uplift you. Discard anything that brings you down, no matter how sentimental. Put this into practice and create a sacred home anywhere. I can give you the ritual at another time, or actually, if you want to check it, I'll add it to the link with this podcast. But
that'll be awesome.
Again, with this being your home and other than your sacred space, everything that goes along with this, not just your nook or not a space that create in your physical home, yourself, buy yourself some flowers, wear some crystals, go walk in the earth, textures, wear things that uplift you. Like, this is you. So please honor yourself first and foremost from the moment you wake up in the morning, and keep that space sacred.
Thank you so much for that reading. And thank you so much to this amazing Aura Vibe tribe. Thank you so much for this podcast. And we're so grateful for you. Sending you so much love, light, and healing. Namaste and have a good day till we meet again.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.